Civilization of the Past, Mesopotamia, by Dayton Rainey. Development. Mesopotamia developed 4,500 BC. Several factors played a part in the development of the early civilization in Mesopotamia, but the most important factor was its location. Mesopotamia was situated between two fertile rivers, which allowed agriculture to expand for the very first time in human history. Fun fact: Mesopotamia was the very first civilization. Governors. Government. Mesopotamia was ruled by kings. The kings only ruled a single city, though, rather than the entire civilization. For example, the city of Babylon was ruled by King Hammurabi. Each king and city designed the rules and system that they thought would be most beneficial for the Mesopotamian people. Mesopotamia government was kind of a democracy. The early Sumerians would elect a group of people to run the government. Kings in the summer started to think of themselves as gods and gave their power to their ancestors. Laws. The king was the man that determined who broke the law and how he or she broke it. He also contains important ideas like having people provide evidence of the crime. Whoever they think is the criminal is innocent till proven guilty, and is provided shelter, food, and protection for a week. Some of the laws they were supposed to follow were: if a man commits a homicide, that man shall be killed. If a man acts lawlessly, that man shall be killed. If a slave or woman curses a person who has authority, her owner, they shall skewer her mouth with 1 selah of salt. Beliefs. Mesopotamians had a variety of gods they believed in. However, not all of the Mesopotamians believed in more than one god, which is also called monotheism. Most Mesopotamians believed in more than one god, which is also called polytheism. The main 3 gods Mesopotamians believed in were An, who was the sky god, Enlil, who was known to bring storms and help mankind contain himself. Lastly, Nin-Hersag, who was the fertility god. Trade and travel. Mesopotamia was a region which did not have many natural resources. Therefore, the people who lived there needed to trade with their neighboring countries in order to acquire the resources they needed to live. They traded oils, grains, timber, wine, precious metals, and stone, and textiles. Merchants used several different methods for transporting their goods, depending on what they were transporting. Grain was quite bulky and were less transported on a boat. However, precious stones were likely to be small, so they could be transported by foot or by donkey. Fun fact: Mesopotamians created the wheel. Social classes. The upper class. Both men and women wore jewelry. Men wore long hair and long beards and wore a skirt-type garment. Women wore long dresses with one shoulder bare. In colder months, they all wore cloaks made from sheep wool to keep warm. They didn't have to work like the lower class, and the slaves did. The lower class. The working class wore the same type of garments as the rich, only theirs were not made of the same materials as the upper class. They too wore jewelry, although theirs was not made of gold or precious stones. The reason why they are called the working class is because they work for money to make a living. The slaves. The Sumerians did keep slaves. When they defeated another town or tribe in battle, they would bring back the prisoners as slaves. The king and the priests kept a bigger portion of the slaves, but wealthy Sumerians could buy slaves to work for them. Homes. Whether they were rich or poor, every family had its own house. The rich had large, wide houses. The poor had narrow houses. They were built out of bricks made with mud and straw and were dried in the sun. All of the houses were built at least 3 stories high. The first floor was an entryway and courtyard. Children played there. Small livestock was kept there, and if the weather made it possible, meals might have been cooked there. The next 2 floors were where the family lived. The sleeping and sitting rooms were on these 2 levels as well as food storage. The roof of the house was flat. The people treated the roof as another floor. During good weather, people would cook and eat on the roof of the house. This got everyone up and away from the streets, yet still out into the open air. Food. Some of the foods they ate were not just given to them. They had to hunt for their food, harvest their crops, and gather their own vegetables and fruit. They did not have a grocery store like we do. Some main dishes they had were pottage and chickpeas and grain. Jobs. It depended on what social class they were in. If they were in an upper class, they didn't have to work. But if they were in the lower class, they had the choice of what job they wanted. They could either be a farmer, healer, weaver, artisan, or teacher. But if they were a slave, they didn't have a choice. Their owner made them work on whatever they needed fixed, cleaned, or harvested.